I'm Kiende Stinson, and this is the podcast that explores the human side of technology. This is the final episode in our AI in Education series, and today we're looking at upper education. Universities, grad school, professional programs, all of it. And in the spirit of education, I want to start this episode a little differently with a quiz. Are you ready? First question. True or false? AI is now used in college admissions to help review applications. True. Heckinger report found that over 25% of U.S. colleges and universities now use AI tools to assist with application review, from scanning essays for keywords to flagging patterns in academic records. And while the goal is efficiency, critics worry these systems may amplify bias or reduce applicants to data points. Question 2. True or false? ChatGPT once earned a 4.0 GPA at a top university. True, sort of. In a 2023 experiment by professors at the Wharton School of Business, which is Harvard's School of Business, GPT-4 was given real assignment prompts from MBA courses. The AI scored an average of A or A minus, high enough to place it at the top of the class. It did not just pass, it excelled. Final question. True or false? The majority of people reskilling for today's careers are doing it through traditional universities. False. According to a 2024 Coursera Trends report, Coursera, if you don't know, is an online educational platform. 58% of adult learners pursuing new tech and business skills are doing so through online platforms, boot camps, or certifications, not universities. In fact, only 17% of utilize traditional higher education. Flexibility, speed, and affordability, which I'll discuss later, were cited as the top reasons. So, that's the quiz. With all this data in mind, AI in admissions, models outperforming students, and adults bypassing traditional schooling, I have to ask, what is the point? I'm a believer in learning, but I think the definition of what's valuable is shifting fast. Degrees aren't the currency they used to be. And now AI is upending the model even more. In today's episode, we'll take a closer look at how AI is shaping and shaking higher education. Stay with me. The topic or issue of student loans is political, which has resulted in inconsistent and back and forth responses from the government regarding student loans. People can pursue their educational goals and not incur loans or as much loans as before. On the other hand, we have this paramount educational system, especially in upper education. We're moving around, doing more adult things. And so the accessibility of it makes it more likely that we will become a lifelong learner, which is key through these tools. I don't have to enroll in a school and go there every day. I can go get a certificate if there's a specific subset that I want to gain knowledge on. And I can shore up my knowledge at any time. Nonetheless, universities need students. So this is where the Socio-Tech Connect comes in, where we ask the question, how can we integrate this technological advancement without adversely impacting or wiping out upper education? So here's what I've come up with. AI can write papers. It can summarize academic articles. It can pass professional exams, generate lesson plans, even simulate tutoring. It can even outperform students and instructors on traditional academic tasks. So if AI can do all of that, what is left? What's left for higher education to do? Well, everything that AI can't replace. That's what's left. Things like curiosity, the desire to understand not just what something is, but why it matters. Dissent, the ability to challenge dominant ideas, propose alternatives, or push back on consensus when it's flawed. This has changed history over and over again. Ethics, not just knowing what's legal, but what's right in complex and changing social contexts. Shared meaning, the cultural, emotional, and communal fabric that makes learning not just about absorbing facts, but building identity, developing relationships, and finding one's purpose. In my opinion, universities were never supposed to just transmit information, not in the Google era, and definitely not in the AI era. Their real power is in cultivating judgment, the ability to weigh nuance, context, and consequence, in developing a comfort with complexity, ideas that don't have easy answers, data that can't be reduced to a dashboard or a table, and in sustaining connection, human connection, the space to learn in community, across difference, in a way that builds understanding and empathy. So when I ask, what's the point of upper education anymore? It's not rhetorical. I think it's a challenge. Maybe the question isn't, what's the point of upper education? Maybe it's, what do we want it to stand for? And are we willing to fight for that? Because if colleges and universities are just competing with AI to deliver facts faster or cheaper, they're going to lose. But if they double down on what only humans can do, the messy, beautiful, complex mixture of work involved in learning together, then universities will not just stay relevant, they will define the future. And if they choose not to, if they abdicate that role, then yeah, maybe universities should be replaced. The tools are here, and the challenge is clear. Now it's up to these institutions and all of us to decide what kind of learning really matters. I would really love to hear your thoughts on my take and this topic in general. Now, let's transition to a lifelong learner, Regine, who went all the way in school and actually serves as an educator for the larger community of practitioners in her field. She'll talk about her experience with technology and where she sees education going in the future. So welcome back to Tech Me Out. I'm speaking with Regine, who has a lifelong learner career. She practices as an attorney, serving several communities in Florida, and also serves on the Bar Association where she's barred. So we're going to talk to her today about being a lifelong learner and teacher in a rapidly changing world. So hi, Regine, how are you?
Hi, Kehinde. How are you doing? So great to be here.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on Tech Me Out. So I just have
Thank you for having me.
yes, I have a couple of questions that I just wanted to throw at you, given your background. So the first ones are legal in nature. So
Oh,
well, not all the way, not all
let's
the
get
way.
to it.
So emerging technologies like AI and blockchain are clearly disrupting the legal field. What's your perspective on how lawyers can stay ahead of these changes?
So I'm gonna move us away from you use the word that there are what's the word you use?
Disrupting.
Disrupting. Disrupting is a strong word.
Hmm.
I think that AI and technology, it's a perception thing, right? In that it's really helped a lot of practitioners, lawyers, the court system. But with everything, there is a good and a bad, right? And so I think I'll tell you, in terms of personally, right? I run a virtual law firm. And
Wow.
I've been virtual before COVID. So I'd like to say I was like a pioneer. That's what I tell people. Before everybody went online. And part of the reason is because people, I'm licensed in Maryland and DC as well. People used to complain about that traffic on the Beltway.
Mm,
If they want to come see you, they have to be out of work for 3 hours and you get 8 hours for lunch,
right.
right? And so people kept complaining and complaining. And in order to try to address that need, we became a virtual law firm. And we really saw an uptick in professionals being able to meet with us during their lunch break, setting a 10 a.m. meeting time, 11. And then also it provided me a little bit of, I'm not going to call it work-life balance. I don't believe in that. Work-life integration. So I'm not at the office till 9 o'clock meeting with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in the AI space, lawyers, are starting to use it more. Obviously, there have been cases where unfortunately lawyers have gotten in trouble with the whole hallucination of the systems with the cases. I use AI only to the extent, like, let's say I'm trying to I was writing a firm email the other day. And so, without putting names in the system, I was like, AI, tell me how to say this in a firm yet polite manner. Because I still wanted to be heard,
Mm-hmm.
but I also wanted to make sure like my emotional attachment to the subject matter was not being conveyed. So I don't know that it's disrupting us as much as it's creating a new pathway for us and a new way for us to practice. But we just have to be aware of its capacities. And with everything, we have to be aware of its detriments. And I think we still have to remember that we have to infuse the human component, right, in order to ensure that, civility, professionalism, and all of the things are still at the forefront of what we do as practitioners.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. You're addressing a lot of the different topics that I was hoping that we would discuss today. But what I absolutely agree with you. It's not a disruption. I write about it in my book, AI in Business: Legal, Ethical, and Innovative Insights, where I say it's a call to action. It's a call for us to elevate the profession because not only is the technology changing how the people that we serve in our professions do everyday life, we also have to utilize this technology to conduct our professional life. And so it's
Correct.
calling us to stretch ourselves in a dual manner. And I think that with the right tools and the right understanding of it, and like you say, keeping yourself in the loop, not just relying on it, because, hey, hallucinations will very likely continue to occur, you know? And so you just got to keep your head above the idea that it's more than an efficiency tool.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, as someone who's clearly you're committed to lifelong learning. How do you personally stay up to speed with every other app being especially directed to your profession?
Staying up, I mean, I feel like every day something else comes to
Right.
light. I think that in my everyday, I look for the apps that are going to create efficiencies. For example, as a owner of a law firm, one of the things that we infused into our systems last year is automation.
Mm.
We realized that we were spending a lot of times with the client experience, right? And
Mhm.
part of the system of client experience is, yes, you want it to be, white glove service and tailored, but there should be some level of like consistency.
Yes.
And so we were able to partner with one of the CRMs, which provides automation. So when somebody gets into my system, there are probably 6 to 7 steps. And last night, actually, I was just reviewing. Sometimes I, do quality control to make sure everything is working.
Good.
We like you come in. There's a video that tells you about us, that tells you about how the meeting's gonna happen. So we try to give you as much information as you can, but no one is actually sending you an email every single time. It's just
Right.
it's in the back of the system. It prompts these things, so that you get the email, you get the welcome packet, you get this, you get that, and so clients are feeling like, oh, they really are. These are touch points at all these different levels, but we're not doing it. So I think like making sure that the technology obviously suits, whatever the service or the product or the end product that you're trying to reach, right? With the audience in mind, but also making sure that it's personalized. Like I went through when we obviously started doing this automation, I went through it to see, is it too much? Am I getting too many emails? Am I going to want to
Now we get
unsubscribe
into
by
our
the
rectus
three?
abdominis muscle.
Is it
So
too
this is
long?
that classic
Is
Mm.
it
six pack
clear?
muscle.
And does it
Whether you
give the
can see it or not,
person
you have one in
the
there,
same
right?
feeling that
And
I
this
want him or her
motivates
to
the rib
feel
cage to your
before
pelvis.
they meet with
And the
me
main
as
action of this
when they meet
muscle,
with me?
when it comes to
Because
movement,
it's really
is to
important for
bring the
me that
rib
I
cage
am
down
relatable,
toward the pelvis.
I'm
So it
professional, I'm
flexes the
competent,
spine.
and I'm knowledgeable,
So
Yeah.
And
see
so
your
I wanted to make
posture,
sure
your
that that
running
feel
posture, this
was
nice
carried
running way
through
of moving.
as part of the technology, and it didn't feel robotic, but it felt that there was a human touch to the technology.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk about you being a
Before this is to
pioneer.
start
So
working
other
with
guests that I've
the
talked
glute
to
med
are either
and the chest,
hesitant,
right?
like clearly hestant
So all
in
these tenses
engaging with
are
emerging
released in the
technologies.
fascia
But
release
you,
and
not only
helping you
are you
stop
kind of
from
all in,
falling
just the
forward.
way that you just described
So we're going to
your
start with
platform,
reshaping the
your
ball first. And
introduction
when you're
or
doing
client's
this,
introduction to
we're going to
you, it
work
seems like you are
targeting this
very
little
tech
triangle
centric.
right
So
underneath the
what's
ribs.
what was your
So
learning
this is
curve
going
like before COVID when you
to
were
go
deciding to
half
go
inhale,
virtual?
you're going to come down and right into the ribs about
If
here.
you had one at all. You might
This
not
is
have
I
had
the
one.
think
triangle
I would say
that
I
we've
think
got.
that we
So
obviously
be
did have
aware that
one.
the tip of the
And
triangle
in
is the exact
implementing
void
any
spot.
system, right,
You never want to apply
you
force
have to be
pressure into that
aware
area because you
of
could
people's
fracture or even
sensitivities, right?
hurt that
So
bone
I do.
muscle, which is a
Our firm
pretty
does trust and estate work,
fragile and stable
Okay.
muscle.
and
So just
so
make
for
sure to
some
stay out of the
people,
actual tip of
they
the
want to
triangle
come
and
in
work your
to
way
see the
down
lawyer
towards the
in
pelvis.
person.
You're going to get the most
They want to touch you
therapeutic results
across
of
the
that with
table,
less
Yeah.
and so we
of
still have
physical
that
force pressure
option
in your body. So you
available.
really don't want to do
Okay.
But
that.
for 80 to 90% of our
So let's
clients,
start off to the
most
side.
of our
Again,
work
we're going
is
to
done
sit here.
online.
We're going to scan a little
And
bit
I'll
from
say,
right
like,
under the ribs just to get
initially
some
we had like
acupuncture
one
from lower to middle.
platform to
When
meet
I
clients.
find my tender point,
We
then I'm going
realized,
to
like,
go
with,
back
for
down
example,
to the
in
side for
DC and
one
Maryland
leg,
clients,
the other
they're
leg.
meeting, they may be
And let's
meeting you
find my
at
tender
work.
point.
I'm
And
not sure
stay
if
the
they're
same
using
here.
the work
Now, there's a couple different
computer,
directions
but
I can go in here. I
maybe
can pull
certain
down
platforms may not work
towards
as
my
well.
hip,
So
Right.
some
or I can
clients
pull
will meet
up
them on one web
towards my
platform,
shoulder
other
blade area.
clients will
So
meet
this
them
is
on
me
other
on
web
the right side,
platforms.
pulling
And
down
so
towards
for
my head,
me, I had to
or
become
up
very
towards my
familiar
left
with
shoulder.
each of these,
So either direction we
platforms.
go, I want to feel this crease
Also
in the nose, that
understanding
burning,
like
stinging
the
sensation.
breadth
I'm
and
going to
depth
hang
of the
out with that.
technology.
Once I'm there, I'm going to take in a nice deep
Sometimes I'm
So
doing
let's say rib
graphs to
cage
kind of illustrate to
or
clients
how
what
should
the
my
plan
chef
looks
cook it?
like.
And as we
And so
get out there,
using, the
okay,
chart
so we're
within the
using our breath to
platform,
create that
and I'm
sense of
drawing
space.
like this is a bucket, and this
Then
bucket
breathe,
represents
breathe
the
out,
trust.
relax.
So
Let's move
there's
our
been
left
a
leg,
learning
let
curve,
it sink
and
in,
part of
roll
it
side
is,
to side,
and
circle right,
also
circle
the
left.
learning curve is never going to
And then
stop,
our
because I
left
feel like
contraction and
as
forward feels a little
you
bit
get
more
comfortable with the
graceful
technology,
as we go
sometimes
in
the
the direction of
technology
the
is
breath.
enhanced with more tools
Mhm.
and more gadgets on top of it, and
Relax.
just understanding how
Breathe
those
in,
things work.
Yeah.
Uh, so
now,
I feel like
note down what
it's almost
areas
like a
trigger
post.
points or
It's
affect your
not like
breathing
you can't
to
keep up.
recreate pain or radiate pain
Job,
when
your
engaging.
entire
So if you feel something,
company
sit back in
is
the chair, sit
virtual,
back.
where you have
If
80
you
to
feel
90%
something
of your
happening,
clients
pause away.
embracing
Now,
that
let's try
technology,
full
but you're also
extension.
teaching others
That
in your
should
role
feel right.
with the bar
Start to feel
association. So,
some
how do
muscle
you
cramping in the
approach
lower back.
helping
Maybe feel like a
professionals
tingling
of all
sensation.
ages? Because in order to be a
Now,
member of the bar
let's get
association,
into the trigger
it's not
points
age
for each
requirement. So you can
sensation so we can
vary.
move
The
ahead.
bar varies in wide
Once you're
ages.
good with
Make
this
them feel
approach,
comfortable with the
let's
new
go on to
technology.
a little more deeper
I
pressure.
think it's being,
These are some
I think
stepwise
one,
tools, and that's
I'll
important
say
to have. These are
we have to be empathetic,
semi-invasive.
right?
One's a
Because
little squishier than the other.
even though
These
you
can
are
feel
on the other side,
just a little
perhaps
bit
like
less density in the
just
nervous
telling
tone.
opposing counsel, like,
All you do is
you're going to
use
have to
that
share your
squeeze of the breath
screen. The share button is
Hmm.
at the
feeling yourself
bottom.
like a co-worker.
No, I can see your entire
Now,
file, Uh, so,
I'm gonna lower
being kind, being civil, and being more patient, because
just
I mean,
one
sometimes we
side.
serve older clients, and to the extent that they know how to open the Zoom, let's say they were trying to look at something else on their computer, or whatever, and then they lost the image, they lost where you are,
Mm.
and they're like, I hear you, but I can't see your face. And so me knowing where the prompter is on your computer
Feel
generally,
how those
so you can
words
help
are
that
placed.
person.
I'm going to
So
lift
I think
my chest,
technology is
inhale.
great, but also
And
we
feel
have
a
to be
pretty
compassionate,
significant burning
or at least
sensation.
empathetic to
If
those
this
people that are
does hurt your
still
lower back,
learning
make sure
how
you
to
are
work
pulling
it
your belly button in
more.
towards your
I
spine,
think that
tucking your chin
for
just down a little
example,
bit,
the
and
Maryland
exhale.
courts went
If this feels too
online,
painful for you, go
and
back
I
to
want
the
to say
original
last
technique
year we
and
finally got
rewind.
all of the courts,
Just
all of the
because our
counties
one
online in
sensation is
Maryland.
wrong,
Wow.
it's just not exact.
So
We're
that's
looking for your
recent.
lower back, and we don't want to injure anything
So
else coming
sometimes
in the lower
people
back.
file things wrong.
Again,
Sometimes this
breathing,
happens. Sometimes, you know, and sometimes
just
it's really
using your
just
breath to kind of
calling
create
them
that
as a
mental
member of the
position
bar,
for you.
because yes, we may be on
All
opposite
right,
side,
now I
but we
can lower
are
it
all
down.
serving, you know,
And when we go
there
to
is
the
an
lower
image of
portion
our
of the rectus
profession that I think
abdominis,
we all should
that's
have
basically where
an
your hip bone
investment
is.
in.
And just
Calling them,
literally
hey, I think you
between your femur bone
accidentally
and your
sent
hip
this
bone,
to
there's
me,
quite a few
and
trigger
so I
points
want to
that
make
can
sure that
go
you
there.
know that, so you can
That's best
rectify
to
it
use
on
a
your
little bit
end.
of a soft
And
ball when you
so I
start
think
this,
we,
because you do have
as
some
we're
internal organs
helping
in there that you
some of
definitely
our
want to
fellow
focus
members
on
that are
protecting.
in need of a little bit of
So if this is
hand holding or
shooting,
direction,
bleeding,
I think
your
it
body is
elevates the
just not
profession
ready for
as a
this
whole.
amount of pressure. Make sure
Absolutely.
that
It
you
really
use
does. I
a
mean, I think
nice
there's a
soft
sense of
ball
community that you're
and
expressing right
gentle
now,
touch that you
not
use
just in how you handle your
specifically
business,
on
but
that group
you're
there.
speaking to it as if it's a part of you
Now,
being a
this
member
posture
of the
can actually
bar
radiate into
as well. I
comfort.
think, unfortunately, that might be lacking in
I
the
get that this
technology
image can be
space. There's a lot of
tempting,
different kind of
but the posture
silos of
itself is
education and
effectively
misinformation that's being transferred,
breathing.
especially
So this is
with
really
the
good for not
increase
just your
of generative
sitting
use
or
of
moving,
generative AI
but also
systems
getting blood
that
circulation
this
into our
podcast
internal
is trying
organs
to
and affecting
bring
our
back.
digestive system.
My intent is
So
that at the
let's
end of
go
every
ahead and take a
episode, there's a
deep,
little bit more
full breath
knowledge
as I lift
about
my
these
chest.
emergent technologies, and that you're left with a little bit more well-rounded understanding of the technology. And so, I mean, that was there's I can't think of a better way to end our conversation. Last question.
Now we're just going to
Looking to
slowly
the
press the
future,
gaze
what do you think is the biggest
down to
opportunity and
release.
the biggest
Our
risk
hands back.
for the legal profession when it
Take a
comes
nice
to
deep
emerging
breath of breath.
technologies?
Lift the rib cage up.
I'm going to go to
Breathe
risk
in hard
first.
Okay.
and then relax. So make sure you're
Risk, I
staying
think,
both
is the
sides. Elbow
disengagement
working
of
on any part of the
the
body.
humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this
I
is
think
probably
that
one of the more
sometimes
intense
I've used the term,
regions of body
sometimes
work on the
people,
system
and I'm
forefront.
sure we've all
So
encountered
don't be
this in all
discouraged if
different
it's too
spheres
intense
of
to be
life.
doing something.
Um,
Just
somebody sends you an email, right? If we just take it at the basic level, somebody sends you an email, you presume or assume a tone in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like technology can sometimes create a disengagement in terms of humanity. And then you respond back instead of picking up the phone and then trying to figure it and sort it out, right?
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest risk is the disengagement of humanity or dignity or civility that can happen as a result of technology. But I think from the advantage, the benefit to our society, to work, to lawyers in general, or to education, it's great. I'll give you by way of an example, because you said I'm a lifelong learner, and I am. So currently, I am doing an LLM in tax.
Wow.
And because I wanted to have the degree, okay? Because I didn't have enough things that I was doing that I really was doing. I went back to school after 18 years.
Wow.
And I am an LLM student. And I'm super blessed and grateful that this university is allowing us to do the LLM tax program online.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The university is 5 hours from my house.
Yeah.
If this technology was not available, I would not be able to do this tax. I mean, I'm not moving 5 hours from where I am. I'm not driving back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know of other people that have, moved away from home for the time in order to get it done. But for me, this is ideal.
Yeah.
I, do my classes 2 to 3 days a week. I turn in my homework. I'm treated like a student like anybody else. I'm able to interact with other students. I'm able to network, right?
Yeah.
But this is a blessing and an advantage in that technology is allowing folks to meet their goals, even if they're not near.
Yeah.
And so I think that, in terms of connecting us, in terms of making us more productive, in terms of making us more efficient, it's a great tool. But I think at the baseline, I think we have to remember that there's a human component in it, and that also has to be at the forefront of all technology.
Absolutely. That's exactly what Tech Me Out is about. And I am so grateful that you've taken time out of your schedule to join me today. Regine, is there any website or social media handles that you'd like to bring up so that I can add that to the podcast?
Sure, people can always find me. The name of my law firm is Francois Williams Legal. We are Francois Williams Legal on all of our social, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Love to, meet and network with other people. But I really do want to thank you, Kehinde, for this opportunity to have this conversation with you. I think this is super important, and I'm glad you're doing the work.
Thank you very much. And thanks to all of our listeners today for tuning in to Tech Me Out. Until next time, keep learning and tech smart. Remember, we are what makes tech savvy. Well, that wraps up our 3-part series on AI in education. From early learning to K through 12 to upper education, we have explored how these tools are shaping every stage of the learning journey. I hope this series gave you something to think about, whether you're a parent, an educator, a lifelong learner, or just trying to understand where we go from here from an educational perspective. As for what's next on Tech Me Out, I'm still figuring that out. But you can bet it'll center the human voice in the middle of all this tech noise. So stay tuned. If you've enjoyed this series, I'd love it if you shared it with someone who might find it useful. And let's chat on techmeoutpodcast.substack.com. With gratitude, I say tech smart. And remember, we are what makes tech savvy.